Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about merge conflicts. And this is one of those things in Git that can be super intimidating. You've been using Git, you've been committing and pushing, and things are going great. And then all of a sudden you try to combine two different branches or Git repos from two different sources, and all of a sudden you run into merge conflicts. Everything turns red and you have no idea what to do. In this video and in the next one, we're going to talk about how to solve those problems. So there's sort of two major kinds of merge conflicts. The first one is if you have two separate branches, each of which have made a commit to the same line of any file, and then you try to merge them. That's going to cause a merge conflict. The other kind is mostly having to do with remotes. If you have one Git repo that has a different history than another, that can cause problems as well. We're not going to talk about that this time. In this video, we're going to talk about what happens when you are trying to merge branches and you have commits, or when you're trying to merge branches that have changes to the same line and what goes on there. So let's get started. All right, so here I have what is hopefully now a familiar setup. We've got our graphical user interface, Giddy up over here. We've got two terminals. This one's going to be used to do command line execution of Git commands. This one's going to be used for text editing. And we have a file explorer here, which we're mostly going to ignore for this particular one. So first up, let's take a look at the state of our current repo. We have a couple of different files, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've got a README, and we've got a little script that runs some code. So if I say script py, we are printing out each of these individual files, the contents of them. So let's come here into our repository and come into our script.py. And let's imagine that instead of printing out the contents, each line of this file using the read lines, I want to loop through each line and I want to print that line separately. So let's take a look at what this is going to look like. So here I'm going to say for line in IO read lines, print line. Okay, so here we can see what that looks like instead. Oops, right, I need a colon here because this is Python. And here we can see, so now I'm printing out each of these lines separately instead of printing out the list of contents, including those new lines. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write that and quit Vim, and then I'm going to say here git commit am. Actually, before I do this, I'm going to check out a new branch. So check out b printing test. Okay, and then I'm going to say git commit. The A commits everything that has previously been tracked, and I pass a message with M, and here I'm going to say go line by line. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to come back and say git checkout main again. And what we'll see here, if I run the Python script, now we're back to the previous version that has that prints the list of each of these lines. Just to see again, we'll say git checkout print test, run the script, and now we're printing out a separate line for each individual line in a file. And the reason we're seeing these big jumps here is because the print command prints with a new line, and each of the lines of the file has a new line in it here. So you can see here this /n is text for a new line. And for the files that have a new line at the end, here we're sort of printing this line, adding a new line, printing a spare new line, as well as a new line for each of the lines in the file. Okay, so let's say back in our main branch, I've noticed this, and I don't actually want, git checkout main. And let's say here I want to, I'm going to say dot strip, which should remove the new line from each of the files. Let's see what it is. Is it rstrip? Can't remember what the Python command here is. Just a sec, I'm going to go look that up. All right, I see what I'm doing here. Instead of doing rstrip on the read lines command, which is the data structure that contains all of the lines, I'm going to say here line.rstrip for line in IO read lines. So if we do this, now we should see, oh, this is a generator. Okay. Let's make it a list here so it's more like what we had before. Well, this is the fun of coding, is that we have to, no, because I can't spell. There we go. All right, so now, as opposed to the previous version where we had a new line, a /n at the end of each one of these, now each line is by itself without that new line added. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to commit it and say git commit am don't include read lines. Or sorry, new lines. New lines here. All right. So here I've just made two different changes to the same file, and crucially, they've been on the same line of the file, right? So if we look at the diffs here, here on the main branch, maybe I will expand this out a little bit so we can see. So here, I've removed this print, and I've changed it to this here, where I make a list with an rstrip for each line. And in the other thing, on this printing test branch, I've removed that line and replaced it with something else. I've replaced it with a loop, right? So, all right, so if we try to merge now, what's going to happen is we're going to enter a merge conflict. So here I'm going to say merge. I'm going to merge into main from printing test. And what you'll see is I end up with a conflict. So we can see it both here in the source file and here in the graphical user interface in Giddy Up. And what happens is text gets inserted to show what the file looks like in the current file, in the current branch that we were trying to merge into. That's here under head between these less than signs and the equal signs. And then below the equal signs here, you can see on the branch printing test, this is the line that's trying to come in. So now we need to resolve this merge conflict. I really like, this is the one place where I really like graphical user interfaces to interact with Git. Mostly I use the command line, but for merge conflicts, it can be really nice because here you can see I can just select very easily use ours, which will take the version from the main branch, or use theirs as the result. Either way, it's going to pick a version, and then we have to commit that change. So our merge commit will contain whichever one we picked. Alternatively, we can come in and decide, actually, I want to have something from each of these. So in order to do that, what I'm going to say is, well, what I really want is I want this for line in read lines, but instead of just printing the line, I actually want to print line rstrip. But now I have to remove these bits from the merge conflict as well manually. And now I have a version that sort of combines those two branches together. I'm going to, now that it's here, I'm going to say stage all, commit merge. And now you can see the version removing our original version. And we're going to have this now merged version of these two branches committed as the merge commit. Okay. And now if we run our Python script in our main branch, what we can see is that each file prints without a new line unless the new line was there in the original file. So that's how to deal with the merge conflict. This is sort of the simplest version. If you have a two different branches that you're trying to merge that have changes to the same line. To talk about the next one, first we need to discuss using remotes like GitHub, which practically is what a lot of people are trying to use Git for in the first place, is just getting code backed up on GitHub. So we'll talk about that in the next video. I'll see you there.